There's a moment in the first Max Payne game that I think about way too often. Max is standing in a nightmare, his own nightmare actually, and he's walking through this twisted, hellish version of his house, following a trail of blood, listening to his baby cry, and he can't get there in time. He's never going to get there in time, because this isn't a dream where you can change what happened. This is a memory wearing the skin of a nightmare. And that right there, that's Max Payne in a nutshell. A guy who keeps walking towards something he already lost, over and over again. Max Payne came out in 2001, and on the surface, it's a third-person shooter with cool slow-motion mechanics, and a guy who talks like he swallowed a Raymond Chandler novel. But underneath all the bullet time and the noir monologues, there's this deeply fractured human being. A man who isn't really trying to get revenge. He already knows revenge won't fix anything. Max is something much sadder than that. The night that never ends. Okay, so let's start with what actually happened. Max comes home from work, regular day, probably thinking about dinner, about seeing his wife Michelle, about holding his baby daughter Rose, the most mundane, beautiful, ordinary things a person can look forward to. And then he walks into a slaughterhouse. Junkies, high out of their minds on a drug called Valkyr, have broken into his home. They've killed his wife, they've killed his infant daughter, and Max kills them. He kills them all. But it doesn't matter, because they're already gone. Now here's the thing about trauma, and I mean real psychological trauma, not just bad experiences. Trauma isn't really about what happened to you. It's about what that experience does to your brain's ability to process reality. When something catastrophic happens, something so far outside what your brain expects from the world, your mind essentially short circuits. It can't file the experience away properly. Normal memories get processed, contextualized, and eventually they become part of your past. They happened, they're over, they're behind you. Traumatic memories don't do that. They stay frozen. They stay present tense. They intrude into the current moment like they're happening right now. And for Max, that night never ended. The game makes this literal through those nightmare sequences. Max keeps returning to that house. He keeps hearing the baby cry. He keeps following the blood trail. Because psychologically speaking, he never left that house. Part of him is still standing in that nursery, arriving too late, watching his entire life end. There's this concept in psychology called complicated grief or prolonged grief disorder. It was only recently recognized as an official diagnosis actually, and it describes what happens when the normal grieving process gets derailed. When instead of slowly integrating the loss into your life and finding a way to move forward, you get trapped. The grief doesn't evolve, it just persists at full intensity for years. What causes this? Well, a few things. Sudden violent loss is a major factor. Not having a chance to say goodbye, feeling responsible, even irrationally, for what happened. Losing someone who was absolutely central to your identity and sense of self. Max hits every single one of these criteria. His wife and daughter didn't die of illness. They didn't die in an accident. They were murdered, in his own home, while he was at work. The place that was supposed to be safe wasn't safe. The people he was supposed to protect, he didn't protect. And that last part is crucial, because Max wasn't just a husband and father, he was a cop. His literal job was protecting people. His identity was built around being someone who stops bad things from happening. And the worst possible thing happened to the people he loved most, and he wasn't there. This creates what psychologists call a shattered worldview. We all walk around with these basic assumptions about reality. The world is generally safe. Bad things happen to other people. I can protect the people I love. My home is a sanctuary. Max's assumptions didn't just get challenged, they got obliterated. In one night, every foundational belief he had about his life and his ability to exist safely in the world got demolished. And here's the thing about shattered worldviews. You can't just rebuild them. You can't just go, okay, that was bad, but I'll move on. Because if everything you believed was wrong, if the world is actually that dangerous and that random and that cruel, then what do you even build on? What foundation is left? Max doesn't have an answer, so he doesn't rebuild. He just exists in the rubble. The game makes this so clear through the nightmare sequences, through the way Max talks about time. The past is a puzzle, like a broken mirror. As I piece it together, I cut myself. He can't stop touching it. He can't stop trying to make it make sense. And every time he tries, he just bleeds more. That's not a man processing his grief. That's a man drowning in it. The man in the mirror. So if Max is drowning in grief, how does he keep functioning? How does he get out of bed? How does he keep moving, keep fighting, keep existing? This brings us to something I find fascinating about Max Payne as a character, and it's something the games do brilliantly without ever explicitly calling attention to it. Max doesn't experience his life directly, he narrates it. Listen to how Max talks. Everything is metaphor, everything is dramatic irony, everything sounds like it belongs in a 1940s pulp novel. The rain was coming down like all the angels in heaven had decided to take a leak at the same time. The final gunshot was an exclamation mark on everything that had led to this point. This isn't just stylistic flavor, this is a psychological defense mechanism, and it has a name. It's called dissociation. Dissociation is what happens when your brain decides that reality is too painful to experience directly, so it creates distance. It can be as minor as feeling like you're watching yourself from outside your body, or as severe as completely fragmenting your sense of identity. But at its core, dissociation is protection. It's your mind saying, this is too much, and pulling back. Max's noir narration is dissociation made verbal. By describing his life like it's a story, by turning himself into a character, Max creates a buffer between himself and what's actually happening to him. He's not Max Payne, traumatized widower, broken cop, guy who couldn't save his family. He's Max Payne, the protagonist of a noir thriller, the hero of his own dark story. And protagonists in noir stories, they suffer, but they suffer meaningfully. Their pain has narrative weight. It serves the plot. It builds towards something. That reframe is doing so much psychological heavy lifting, because if Max is just a guy whose family was murdered and now he's spiraling, that's just sad. That's just pathetic. That's just a man failing to cope. But if Max is the hero of a noir tragedy, then his pain is dramatic. It's purposeful. It has meaning built into its very structure. This is something humans do constantly, by the way. We turn our lives into stories. We cast ourselves as protagonists. We look for narrative arcs and character development and meaningful turning points. It's how we make sense of existence. But Max takes it further than most. Max doesn't just interpret his life through narrative, he's actively hiding inside a narrative. The noir persona isn't just how he talks, it's armor. It's a mask that protects what's left of him from having to fully face what he's become. And the games give us glimpses behind the mask, those nightmare sequences again. The dreams are where Max's real psychological state bleeds through. That's where you see the terror, the guilt, the complete inability to forgive himself. The waking Max, the one delivering those cool monologues, has enough distance to function. The sleeping Max is still screaming. There's something else here too. By turning his life into noir, Max also gives himself a role to play, a script to follow. And that role is the avenger, the one who makes things right through violence. The lone gunman standing against the dark. This is important because it gives Max something to do with his pain. He can't bring his family back. He can't fix what happened, but he can find the people responsible and he can kill them. He can turn his grief into action, his pain into purpose. The problem is, revenge doesn't actually heal anything. Max even knows this. There are moments where he's almost lucid about it. He knows that killing everyone involved in the Valka conspiracy won't bring Michelle and Rose back. He knows that violence is just generating more violence, but he does it anyway. Because what else is he gonna do? This is the tragedy of the noir mask. It gives Max a way to keep moving, but it doesn't give him a way to get better. It's a coping mechanism that allows him to survive day to day while ensuring he never actually heals. He's functional, but he's not living. He's performing survival while slowly dying inside. And that brings us to the darkest part of Max's psychology, the long road to nowhere. By the time we get to Max Payne 3, the mask is slipping. It's been years. Max is in Sao Paulo, working as a private security guard for some wealthy family. He's older, he's fatter, he's drinking constantly, he's popping painkillers like candy. And the noir narration is still there, but it sounds different now. It sounds tired, it sounds like someone going through the motions because they don't know any other way to exist. And this is where we have to talk about what I think is the real core of Max's psychology. The thing that explains everything. The thing that was there from the beginning but becomes undeniable by the third game. Max Payne has a death wish. Not actively. He's not suicidal in the sense of planning to end his life. But he's what psychologists would call passively suicidal, or exhibiting indirect self-destructive behavior. He puts himself in situations where he might die. He drinks like he's trying to destroy his liver. He pops pills that he knows are destroying him. He takes jobs that are essentially just waiting for someone to shoot him. He doesn't want to kill himself, but he kind of wants someone else to do it. Or he wants to just fade out, or he wants to not wake up one morning. This is what survivor's guilt looks like when it metastasizes. We talked earlier about how Max's identity as a protector collapsed when his family died, but there's another layer here. Why did Max survive when they didn't? Why was he at work instead of home? If he'd been there, maybe he could have stopped it. Or if he'd been there, at least he would have died with them. That second thought is the one that haunts him. Survivors of this kind of loss often describe feeling like they should have died too. Like their continued existence is somehow wrong. Like they're living on borrowed time that was never meant to be theirs. And when you feel that way, you don't take care of yourself. Why would you? You're not supposed to be here anyway. Max's alcoholism and painkiller addiction aren't just about numbing the pain, though they're that too. They're also about slow self-destruction. They're about decaying in real time. They're about punishing himself for the crime of surviving. And here's where it gets really dark. Max keeps putting himself in positions where he might save someone, and he keeps failing. The family he protects in Sao Paulo, members of it keep dying. He couldn't save his wife and daughter, and now he can't save these people either. It's like he's testing himself over and over, proving again and again that he can't protect anyone, that he's fundamentally broken. Psychologists call this repetition compulsion. It's the tendency to repeat traumatic situations unconsciously, either trying to master them or confirming the negative beliefs you have about yourself. Max is doing both simultaneously. He keeps trying to save people because some part of him hopes he can finally do it right. And he keeps failing because some part of him believes he deserves to fail. It's an unfixable loop. He needs redemption to heal, but he believes he's unredeemable, so he keeps creating situations that prove his unredeemability, which deepens his belief that he can't be fixed. The pills and alcohol make this worse, obviously. Addiction has its own self-reinforcing psychology. You use to numb the pain, the using creates more pain, you use more to numb the new pain, and so on. Max is caught in multiple spirals at once, all feeding into each other. But here's what I think the games are really saying, especially by Max Payne 3. Max isn't just a man destroyed by tragedy. Max is a man who has made his destruction into an identity. His pain isn't just something that happened to him. It's who he is now. Take away the grief, take away the noir persona, take away the bullet time violence and the alcoholism and the pill addiction. What's left? Who is Max Payne if he's not the guy whose family got murdered? He doesn't know, and I think he's afraid to find out. Because what if there's nothing there? What if the pain is all that's left? This is the deepest trap Max is caught in. Healing would require him to become someone new, and becoming someone new would mean letting go of his connection to Michelle and Rose. The pain is what keeps them close. The grief is how he stays loyal to them. If he got better, if he moved on, it would feel like abandoning them. So he doesn't get better. He holds on to the pain like it's the last thing he has, because in a way it is. The bullet time between moments. So what broke Max Payne? On one level, the answer is obvious. His family was murdered. That's what broke him. But I think the real answer is more complicated and more human. What broke Max Payne is what breaks a lot of people. It's not just the tragedy itself. It's the story you tell yourself about the tragedy. It's the identity you build around your pain. It's the coping mechanisms that keep you functioning just enough to never actually heal. Max created a narrative where he's the eternal sufferer, the noir protagonist doomed to walk dark streets and dispense violent justice and never find peace. And that narrative saved him in the short term. It gave him a way to survive. But in the long term, it became a prison. He's not living, he's playing a character. And the character can never escape the plot. I think that's why Max Payne resonates with so many people, even beyond the cool gameplay and the stylish presentation. Because on some level, we all do this. We all create stories about ourselves that limit what we can become. We all have pain that we've made into identity. We all have loops we keep repeating because we don't know how else to exist. Max is an extreme case. He's noir turned clinical, psychology as pulp fiction, but the core of him is achingly human. A guy who lost everything and never figured out how to exist in a world where he has nothing. Can Max be fixed? The ending of Max Payne 3 suggests maybe, possibly, there's a chance. He walks away. He's still alive, it's ambiguous, but I don't know if that's really the point. Maybe the point is that Max shows us what happens when you don't process grief, when you build a fortress out of your pain instead of working through it, when you'd rather be a tragic hero in your own noir story than just a person who lost someone and has to figure out how to keep going. Max Payne is a warning and a mirror, and like all good mirrors, looking into it for too long gets uncomfortable. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Drop yours in the comments, like and subscribe if you want more stuff like this. And hey, if any of this hit a little too close to home, take care of yourself, alright? You don't have to be Max Payne.